Hey there, everyone, and welcome to episode 59 of the Halfway Through the Heat Wrestling Podcast. And I am here with my co-host Tom. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's good to hear because we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We've got a recap of Clash of Champions. We can go over our predictions, which weren't exactly spot on. Um, We talk a little bit more about the next Netflix series, Glow, based on the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. We're all champions in the ring. Yeah, okay. And we're going to do a bunch more previews for some pay-per-views, Ring of Honor and TNA. We're going to also talk a little bit more about the TNA Death Watch because suddenly it's got a little more deathy. And we're going to talk about some wrestling families of tragedy, which we alluded to last week. But first, we are going to talk about Raw. And more importantly, we're going to say something positive about Raw. So, Tom, what was your positive thing about Raw?
I like that they gave the cruiserweights two matches in the show, including in the tag team match. Drew Gulak was in it. It was fun to see Drew, who I don't think has actually signed a WWE contract, unless I'm mistaken. But it was fun to see Drew Gulak in a big stage like that, and along with the other guys. And even though I will talk in a second about something I didn't like about the crowd, I think it's a good sign that they're not just confining the cruiserweights to one match per show.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they're they're kind of doing it like they're doing the women. So like there's two matches a show. Were there two women's matches? Not really, right? I mean, there was the Bailey match and then the kind of Charlotte thing that
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't a
yeah.
match, but
At least two
two
segments
segments,
though.
yeah. So that's all right. I'm happy with that. I'm fine with two cruiserweight segments. Um, yeah, I'm gonna say my positive thing about Raw is the bromance between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho.
Yes.
So good. It's uh like I think um I want to give WWE some credit here in that like they've been doing things recently that that have been getting me interested in people that I'm not normally interested in. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho is not an example of that because I'm always interested in those two, but like man, the Sheamus Cesaro thing is actually pretty interesting to me. Um,
Yes.
I like that they're doing that kind of stuff. So like doing this thing where like Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho are like best buddies now. It is funny. But it does get over. Like it doesn't make me feel bad that Chris Jericho won at the pay per view, which we'll talk about. Like I think, oh, it kind of makes sense with the story that they're doing. So like, oh, well, fine. Um, I want to give them a little bit of credit for at least like making some kind of interesting stories going on that like get me interested in people I wouldn't normally be interested in.
Yeah, they've done a good job. I think honestly, our mutual friend and former pro wrestler Jay Forklift messaged me on Twitter last night during Raw to say that he thinks this is the best Jericho's ever been in his career. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I definitely think like Jericho has been amazing in this role as like the suck up best friend to Kevin Owens. He's been just like totally fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't say he's the best he's ever been because he's not as good as a wrestler as he was. I mean, but he's still really good. I mean, he's still a good wrestler, and he's like as far as his personality and like the way he's acting, it's perfect. So
It is, and
so good.
even back in his WCW days, I liked like heel Chris Jericho better than face Chris
Oh yeah,
Jericho.
that's always been better. Um, I always enjoy heel Chris Jericho. Um, he's much more exciting that way as a heel. I think he's just he's just better that way because when he's a face, he wants to be popular rocker dude, and
Yes.
on my best day, I'm not gonna like popular rocker dude.
And there's just so much. He's like a really unique he brings something unique to the level of being a bad guy, like where some guys are just like when they're the bad guy, they're just like they just kind of sneer and cheat or something, but he's really smart and articulate and funny, and he brings this whole sense of like aggrieved whininess to it that's just complete. That's like his own thing.
Yeah, I like that he has lists too.
Yeah, the list of Jericho is amazing. Um, and yeah, I totally agree about Sheamus and Cesaro. I was kind of curious to see what they would do with it after the inconclusive finish at the pay per view, and I kind of like that they're sort of making them the odd couple tag team, and they're like fighting and grousing amongst themselves, even as they have to like go out and wrestle people.
I mean, they had like the enhancement talent match, but it was still worthwhile.
It was, and I think it worked well to to establish like the difficulties in their partnership. That this is like as a match they win easily, but they still have all these disagreements about like who walks out from the back first and things like that.
Yeah, they're like trying to get in front of each other. Great, good stuff. It's like it's
Um,
hard to get interested in Sheamus, but like this is kind of doing it.
yeah, I agree, and like we'll talk about the pay per view later, but the match they had at the pay per view was amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's their best match together by far.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Um, I also like that, by the way. I like that Raw started this week with a wrestling match, and they gave Rusev and Reigns like a ton of time to actually just wrestle each other, and it ended in a double countout. I've been an ironic fan of double countouts for so long. Like every time in a match where like both guys are outside the ring and the ref gets to like eight, I start chanting double countout, double count. Like I really started doing it as a joke. I think I've been doing it for so long. I now like double countouts. Because when it happened, I was like, "Oh wow, a double countout! That's awesome!" Because you never see it; it's so rare, and it was surprising. And I mean, I guess I don't know what they're gonna do with this feud from here on, but I mean, I don't know. It kept me entertained.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't think they're going to do anything with this feud. I think it's just going to go away.
You could be right. Maybe there's just gonna be like instead of another build up to a title match or something, they're just gonna have another like a short match at next week's Raw or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of bad ways they could end it, but um, I thought it wasn't bad to start a wrestling show with an actual wrestling match for a change.
That's true. I mean, good on them for not starting us off with 20 minutes of talking.
I know. Um, one thing I do want to complain about, and this actually is not the fault of WWE. Um, I hated that during the T.J. Perkins Brian Kendrick match, the crowd. This was in Cincinnati, Ohio. I hated the crowd was chanting CM Punk and then Randy Savage. Like, I know the WWE has kind of a work to do before they establish the cruiserweights and they get their audience used to cheering for guys who wrestle in a very different way. But like, man, the crowd just like there's two guys who are having a good wrestling match in front of you, and you're just being pissy and self-indulgent. That just really annoyed me.
I'm not sure why CM Punk chants.
I think at this point, they just know that it pisses the WWE off. So it's not that they actually want to see CM Punk or expect to see CM Punk. It's just that they're like, this is the way that crowds have adopted to show their displeasure.
It's uh it's stupid.
It is stupid. It's real dumb. I mean, I briefly was like, oh, okay, because Randy Savage is from Cincinnati, so I was like, oh, all right, well, at least somebody knows history there. But it's dumb. Those guys were working hard and having a good match, and instead of giving it a chance, people were going into business for themselves.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know why. I don't know why they're like that. You should go there and smack some sense into all of them.
That's right. That's right. I'm telling you, folks, Randy Savage would not have appreciated that.
Randy Savage
Um,
would have been angry. He would have dropped a big elbow on the crowd.
he he would have dropped the big elbow. I'm sure CM Punk, wherever he is recovering from his UFC injuries, I'm sure he would not have appreciated it.
Oh man.
Um, but other than that, I thought Raw was pretty good. No real complaints.
I don't have any real complaints about Raw either. I didn't. There was a bunch of negativity towards this week's Raw for some reason, but I don't see it. I don't know why. I don't know why people were so negative about Raw this week. Um, I mean, there were kind of the tried and true WWE method of just like giving you the same match you just saw on the pay per view on the same show twice.
Right.
But you know,
But that was hardly unique to this
yeah,
Raw.
I mean, it's not. It wasn't the only time that's happened. It happens all the time. But also, you know, whatever. I don't know. I thought it was all right. But let's talk about the day before with the Clash of Champions recap. Um, so, what were those Clash of Champion matches anyway?
Well, the first one was the pre-show match between Nia Jax and Alicia Fox, and just as we predicted, match of the night.
Yes, obviously match of the night because it worked out perfectly. It actually that one actually went exactly as we said it would.
It was a 5-minute squash match, and even that was, I mean, it was sort of generous to Alicia Fox. She got in some offense, which was fine, but um, it was what it was, which was not a good wrestling match. At this point, beginning to wonder who they're going to get to actually have good wrestling matches with Nia Jax.
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong, who we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, because I've seen I think one like good Nia Jax has like been in good matches, but it's sort of been the story around it that's better in terms of like actual wrestling. I think the only good match I've seen with her was with Asuka.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Um, and then the New Day beat Gallows and Anderson. That was a good match. I like that.
You know, this is the match last week we were hemming and hawing over. Like, maybe the New Day is going to win, maybe not. We can't say because we think that, like, they're just either. Well, what did I say last week? If the New Day wins, they're gonna beat the Demolition's record because like they have no reason to not win after that.
Yep.
So I assume that this is Vince McMahon just like take that Demolition. Uh,
Oh yeah. And when they came out on Raw, like it was nonstop talk from commentary about the Demolition record. So that just tells me they are going to break Demolition's record, and it's going to be amazing because Vince is so petty.
exactly. This is exactly true, and I think like um, this is great because there's no way that eventually it's gonna the title reigns are gonna be too long, and too many people are gonna piss Vince off. So that, and he'll not be able to do that to people anymore. But like in this case, they've already had it for like close enough, and Demolition is part of that lawsuit. So I assume that you can just assume that the New Day will continue to hold the titles for at least 3 more months.
Yep. I believe it. They're now on day 401, and they got to get to 479. So 78 days to go. Um, so sometime in December, they'll finally lose.
Yeah, well, just assume. Okay, assume this: the next two pay-per-views will be the New Day versus Sheamus and Cesaro, and you can assume that they'll lose the first one, Sheamus and Cesaro, and then the second one they'll come in and they'll have like a month where they're like, okay, we got to really work together now, and they'll start like being buddies, and then they'll go into the pay-per-view and they'll lose again, but. Maybe they'll come back and on the third one and win, or
Maybe.
that kind of thing. You know, just spitballing here.
Because I think I think I hate to say it, but at this point, it seems like the club is sort of killed dead as a contender. I mean, the time to put the belt on them was at Clash of Champions.
Basically, yeah, it was like then or it's too late.
Yeah, and I mean, they haven't really been. Some people were saying, "Oh, they've been buried. They've been buried." No, the Ascension was buried. The Ascension is a good example of a tag team that got nothing. The club hasn't been buried, but they're now, I think, Tape Machines on his podcast, which you should definitely listen to. Tape Machines was saying that he sees them as like the Powers of Pain, just like a decent mid card team, but they're never going to be the champions. And Powers of Pain, in fact, were never the champions.
Oh, poor Powers of Pain.
Poor Powers. of pain. But like making a ton of money as WWE mid carders is, I mean, there are worse fates.
That's absolutely true.
For example, you could be the Ascension. Um, they're not even mid carders. So that was fine, and then the T.J. Perkins beat Brian Kendrick. That was good. It was shorter, I think, than those guys are used to working. It was maybe 10 minutes. Um, but the crowd was actually like receptive, and I like the T.J. Perkins Brian Kendrick feud. I liked how it ended with Perkins trying to do the Triple H evolve handshake bullshit, and Brian Kendrick headbutting him.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
like that.
That was that
Uh,
was worth it. I mean, but the cruiserweights do the on Raw. They did the handshakes thing too.
yeah, I know. God,
Stupid,
but we definitely
stupid
called
Triple
that.
H.
That was not a hard one to
Yeah,
call though, because I mean Perkins is not going to lose his championship 1 week after becoming the first
yeah,
champion.
that one was an easy prediction.
So the next match was Cesaro and Sheamus, and okay, we did not call this because it ended in a no contest, a bizarre no contest. But I, I, we did say to our credit, no matter how this match ends, we will be annoyed by the ending, and I think that was correct.
That's correct. We didn't. I mean, obviously, no one is going to predict a no contest.
No, but we were annoyed by the
We were
ending.
annoyed by the ending. That is absolutely true. So there was something that made the ending annoying. So we were. I'll give that a half true. We got a half
That's a half
correct.
true, yeah. Because I mean, it was a really good match. Like I mean, it was the best of seven thing is kind of I have not been interested in the overall story, but I thought all their matches were good. But this one was like this was a serious hoss fight. These are two big dudes who are just like going all out. I mean, there were like Cesaro was killing himself. He was just throwing himself all around, and Sheamus looked great. It was a fantastic wrestling match, and I was really excited. And sort of like, oh, okay, so how's it going to end? And with a no contest, and like a bullshit no contest too. Like supposedly it was an injury stoppage, but it wasn't clear who had the injury, or maybe both of them had. I mean, it was just dumb. It was like a shine finish, honestly.
Yeah, except there wasn't enough stuff at the bar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but like it was that one of those things where you're like, come on, like why are you stopping the match? Um, I was not thrilled with the ending, but I loved the match.
Yeah, it was a good match. I'll agree with that. It was definitely a lot better than I was expecting it to be, and I was expecting it to be pretty good, like like a pretty good match, but it was actually a lot better than that. So
Yeah,
yeah, so that was
low key match of the night contender. Um, Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn. This was a good match too. I didn't love the finish. I see what you're saying, and I think it does make sense in the overall story, but I don't know. I don't know. I think Sami Zayn could have used the win more than Chris
no,
Jericho.
I agree. I think like it. Yeah, I don't think it hurts Sami Zayn to lose here though. So I feel like if they're just gonna use Chris Jericho in the way like him and his super best buddy both won at the pay per view, so they can brag together or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
it makes sense in that kind of thing, and it like makes less sense if Jericho loses. And I think
no, that's true.
so I think like okay, I see what they're doing, so at least it makes sense to me. And I don't feel like Sami Zayn was like totally buried in this match. Like, oh, he lost to Chris Jericho, he's done.
Yeah, seeing Raw after actually put it in more perspective. I was more angry, not angry, but I was more disappointed the night of Clash of Champions, and uh, and then when I saw Raw and that how they like played it up, I thought, well, all right, well that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like, it's not exactly a good ending. Like obviously I'd rather see Sami Zayn get a big win or whatever, but with the story they're telling and how like interesting it is, like it's actually kind of something I care about. It makes sense, and I feel like that because the story is the way it is, I can't fault the ending. Like I don't feel bad about it. So I think we were wrong on this prediction, but
I think we were. Um, but honestly, all I ask is that things make sense. That's it.
yeah, but it makes sense. That's the thing. So I feel like I
Yeah,
can't be mad about that one.
yeah. Uh, it's true. Um, Oh, and then Charlotte retained her title, beating Bailey and Sasha Banks. This was a god awful mess. The women's three way was just, I don't know, it just seemed really sloppy and um, I don't know, the timing was wrong. I mean, I did not. Nothing really clicked for me in this match.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of true. That's
We did correctly predict the outcome, though. We were right that Charlotte retained.
yeah, yeah. Of course, Charlotte retained.
Not a hard
Yeah,
prediction, to be honest with you. Um, and then Roman Reigns beat Rusev. This one caught me by surprise. I thought Rusev was going to win.
yeah.
It was a good
I
match.
assumed Rusev would win too, but nope. They
Nope.
really want Roman Reigns to have a belt.
For some reason, this is his first U.S. title reign. So good for you, Roman. I'm like people. Some of like the internet smarky smark people were are now like switching over to the Roman Reigns train, and some of them were like somebody showed a sign they made for a WWE show coming up in their hometown, and it was Roman Reigns better than your indie fave nerds, and like that was absolutely my position 2 weeks ago, but now I'm switching. Now I'm back. I'm like anti Roman Reigns again. Not totally, but well, like once the nerds start realizing how good he is and start rooting for him, I'm like, oh, I don't care anymore.
Oh, they've the internet has ruined Roman Reigns for you.
The internet is ruining Roman Reigns for me. Um, but I still don't think they have any like clear direction of what they're doing with the character or whether or not people should hate him. Like I still think he's being hideously ill served by booking in WWE. He's still a good wrestler, and that was a good match. But they just need to decide one way or the other. What are we doing with him?
Yeah, I still don't know what they're doing with him. I mean, but they're gonna like try and build him up in the with the U.S. champion like were doing with John Cena.
Right? I mean,
I guess they could do that. I mean I guess that would be okay. But
they yeah, if they do it right. I mean, the thing is like right now, I think people are still uh they still see they're still booing Reigns. So and Cena had always had half the crowd behind him.
and let's be honest, Roman Reigns is no John Cena.
He is no John Cena.
He's
Uh,
not John Cena in popularity, and he's not John Cena in wrestling ability.
No, and like the whole idea behind the open challenge, which I loved, was like it was believable from John Cena because it was this fundamentally corny idea where John Cena is like, I'm the guy who stands up for America. One of the American values is opportunity. Here's an opportunity.
It's a very it's that's like something I could really imagine him saying in that
Yeah, and
exact
like
voice.
and then he had really good matches, so it worked really well. But like Reigns is like he's the dark brooding guy. Like he's not going to come out. I mean, it's possible to build someone up with a title. A great example of that is not just the John Cena, but like the way Miz has made the Intercontinental title actually seem meaningful. Like it's possible if you do it the right way. I just don't know if they like. I don't know if the Roman Reigns, who's the heel in all but name, if that's the right way to like build him up with the title.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with him, but they should do something. They should just turn him heel. I don't know why they don't.
Yes,
they sh-
they absolutely should. People are already booing him and have been booing him for over a year. He would be a great heel. Him and the Usos could have the Samoan faction. They could come out and be contemptuous of the audience and like, you boo me because you'll never be me. Like, yeah, and instead they're just leaving him in limbo.
yeah, I don't really know. I guess we'll wait and see. I guess it's a wait and see with Roman Reigns to see what they do with him. Maybe they've got a good
Yes.
idea in the works.
I mean, it's possible they like you said they've had good ideas with Sheamus. So hey, anything's possible.
Anything is possible. That's true. I mean, they've got me a little bit interested in Sheamus now. So if it comes to a point where on this podcast I say they got me a little bit interested in the Usos now, well, well, then that is the day you can honestly say if you're like a lapsed Raw viewer or something, or I guess SmackDown for the Usos, but like if you're a lapsed viewer that you should go back and watch because they're doing something amazing.
That's it's really good. It's so good. Joe cares about the Usos now.
But we're not at that point yet, or
We're not at that point
probably
yet.
will never be at that point.
Never say never. Um,
I,
Main event.
I
Sorry, go
honestly
ahead.
can't think of a situation that they could do to make me like the Usos at this point.
It
Um,
could happen. I'm telling you.
I don't know what they'd have to do. They'd have to come out dressed as Pee Wee Herman impersonators.
I would like that. Are you kidding me? What if their new gimmick is that they're both spirit mediums, and during the match they use a Ouija board to communicate with the spirit of Umaga, who tells them how to win?
Um, that would be okay, but it would be better if it were not the Usos.
uh, Main event of Clash of Champions was Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. I believe we were correct in that Kevin Owens retained. Um, and this match didn't do much for me either. I don't know. Rollins seemed to be kind of at half speed, and also talk about a guy who they haven't really established if he's good or bad. Um, the crowd didn't really know who to boo and who to cheer for because they like Kevin Owens, um, but they also are used to thinking of Rollins as a bad guy, and they're not quite behind him yet. So this to me was just kind of muddled booking.
That's true. It did it did come out of as like kind of overbooked in that like there was like too many things going on. Like
The end, there was the ref bump, and Stephanie came out, and then Chris Jericho came out, and then there was another ref. That was a real shine finish where it was just like one thing after another, and you're like, are you kidding me? The only thing they missed from the real shine finish is that no one started a new faction.
yeah, I don't know. It's it was like they're trying more to get over the story of Stephanie being underhanded to Mick Foley or whatever than they are to
Yeah,
of the, like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Like it's like, oh, we got this title and stuff, and that's kind of important, but whatever. Stephanie's story.
right. And like ultimately, I mean, no one cares about that. And if you want to have Stephanie involved in a story, Stephanie should always be a heel. She's an amazing heel, and it's just this weird halfway thing they're doing with her is a mistake.
That's true. I don't
Um,
know if they're like doing a halfway thing. I think they're just trying to make her a more underhanded heel.
that could be. I like her as an obvious heel, but that could be. Part of it too is I'm sort of annoyed. I kind of don't like Mick Foley.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really like Mick Foley either.
I mean, I liked him a lot before, but like this new role, he just doesn't. I mean, he just kind of annoys me when he's on camera.
Yeah, I kind of I feel a lot the same way about Mick Foley. Like I don't I I wish they brought back Hulk Hogan as the manager, as the manager of Raw.
Yeah, we don't have that quite yet.
There's been there's been all types of rumors though.
That's true, and they've been using his voice in advertisements again.
Yeah, Hulkster
Can only
coming back.
matter of time. Um, all right, so that was Clash of Champions. I think overall I'd say solid B, B minus. Wasn't terrible. Some of the finishes were kind of screwy. Though there was only like one really bad match. That was the women's championship match. Everything else was at least passable.
Yeah, it's weird that the women's championship match was not so good.
It is a little weird because like they've had such good matches. Those three people have had such good matches, and it was kind of disappointing to see it just fall apart.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. So yeah, that was the old pay per view. But what do we got next here?
We got
We got to talk
news.
about Awesome Kong.
Yeah, yeah, Awesome Kong, who we mentioned earlier, as a recurring role in the upcoming Netflix series about Glow, which we talked about.
I wonder if she's playing Big Bad Mama.
I know. I wonder. That's I guess one of my curiosities. By the way, this is reported by Pro Wrestling Sheet. That's one of my curiosities about the. Is it are they going to actually play those wrestlers, or are they just going to come up with new characters? I think it would be make more sense to come up with new
Yeah,
characters.
it would, but who knows? I
Because
like the idea of them using the old characters though, because I want somebody to play the housewives.
yeah, But it's not like there's like these aren't beloved characters with like lots of people who are like, oh
Speak for
man, you
yourself,
gotta have
Tom. Beloved characters.
the gotta have the farmer's daughter. Or I'm not watching. Like I just don't.
Gotta have
I
caged
don't.
heater. I'm not watching, Tom.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's one. Another interesting detail as I was reading about this. So other members of the cast include Mr. Robot star Sunita Mani and someone from American Idol named Jackie Tone, Mark Maron, the podcast dude.
Okay.
But one interesting thing was that the actresses are being trained by Chavo Guerrero Jr. to wrestle. Presumably, that will not include Awesome Kong, who already knows perfectly well how to wrestle. But that's interesting. So I guess they're going to be doing spots and taking bumps, and I mean, you kind of have to with a wrestling show, right?
You'd assume. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of injured actresses.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I mean, again, like also if it's going to be sort of true to life in 1980s women's wrestling in the U.S., like there's not going to be a lot of high spots.
That's true. It depends. I guess like it depends on what happens for the show. Like what they're gonna do with it. Who knows? I guess there's probably not gonna. I'd imagine there's not gonna be a whole lot of wrestling.
No, no, it's probably just going to be like clips of wrestling interspersed with um, you know, just like to spice up the other scenes. That would be my guess. It's not. I don't think it's going to be like a wrestling show where there's wrestling matches and stuff. Um, but anyway, good for Awesome Kong. That's cool. Uh, oh, so there was an article in Vice about wrestler-owned restaurants, and I was super bummed out because they missed an opportunity for a truly great article. Um, so they mentioned two. They mentioned the horrible WWE restaurant in Times Square,
Yeah.
and then they also mentioned, of course, Hulk Hogan's Pastamania. But
Pastamania. I always wanted to go to Pastamania.
there's only one, I believe, in the Mall of the
Yeah.
Americas. But they didn't like Jerry Lawler's had like three
Yeah. I mean, like there
restaurants.
was Mean Gene Burger.
Mean Gene Burger, uh, Abdullah the Butcher's Chinese Food and Ribs, which is actually still in Atlanta, Georgia. You can still go there.
Yeah. Um. If you remember, I had a T-shirt and a menu from there.
That's right. A friend of ours got me. He sent me a bunch of stuff from Mean Gene Burger, like napkins and things like that, and like paper hat from Mean Gene. I don't know how I got the paper hat, but so like I have some Mean Gene Burger swag. I don't think it's in business anymore, which is too bad.
Oh.
Uh,
What else? I mean, there's there's a certain Shoney's.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Scott Steiner owns a Shoney's. How do you not include Scott Steiner's Shoney's in your wrestler restaurant roundup?
Yeah, geez. If you're gonna if you're gonna like go through the trouble of writing an article about wrestler-owned restaurants, you might as well have actually researched it
Seriously.
because like
Uh,
the WWE restaurant is the one everybody knows. It was on WWE TV all the time, and it was in Times
yep.
Square. Um, and then like, okay, Pastamania is funny because it's called Pastamania.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think Pasta Mania lives on as like a kitsch reference.
yeah, but like you've got wrestler restaurants that still exist. You could go to them, and you know their Mean Gene Burger is much more funny than a Pastamania is.
It
You
is.
know,
It is.
but Hulk Hogan had another restaurant too with his name on it
Yeah, that's right. Until very recently,
in
in
Florida,
somewhere
right?
in Florida. Yeah, and Victoria, the WWE Diva Victoria, who's also on Terra on TNA, she owns a restaurant called the Squared Circle. You can go there and eat at the Squared Circle. Uh, there's a lot of Bam Bam Bigelow owned his own restaurant.
See, look at all these restaurants. There. That's just a missed opportunity. You were absolutely right on that.
Yeah, I'm bummed out when you see like mainstream articles about wrestling things and they get it so badly wrong because it's like you had a chance there. Um, oh, also apparently Antonio Inoki owns a restaurant in
Oh yeah,
Shinjuku.
it's an izakaya, which is like a kind of bar, or like a bar that serves food at kind of communal table type of kind of thing. I don't. It's hard to explain. It's a Japanese style bar, but like, yeah, I've been there. I've never actually been in the restaurant, but I've been in the building a bunch of times because the place where I used to go to events all the time is like one floor above Antonio Inoki's restaurant.
Oh, okay.
So I know exactly where it is, but I never actually been
And
in.
unless we forget, much like the WWF restaurant, there was the Nitro Grill
That's true. There was the WCW Nitro Grill. Um,
where you could order the Gold Burger.
that's pretty clever, actually. Actually, unrelated to wrestling, but there is a great burger place in Shibuya called Whoopi Goldburger,
Oh, really?
and
That's awesome.
all the all the burger names are takes on celebrity names.
I like that. And of course, the steakhouse in Tokyo that all the wrestlers go to,
Ribera is
Ribera.
not
It's
it's not
not
owned by a wrestler
not
though.
like a wrestler owned, but it's weird if you're gonna do a story about wrestling and restaurants, you don't mention the most famous wrestling related restaurant in the
That
world.
that restaurant is actually like the entire wall is filled with wrestlers.
Yeah, and it's like I mean it's a still to this day it's like like when wrestlers from the US and Europe and Mexico are in Tokyo, they all go there. It's like it's still a place of pilgrimage for those guys. Um yeah, bummed out. But there's a lot of good wrestling restaurants out there. I should put something on the blog. Outdo Vice. Because then after they mentioned Pasta Mania and the WWF restaurant, then they just showed like WWF skits that were set in restaurants, like Razor Ramon in a restaurant somewhere. And it's like, buddy, that's not.
That
Come
that
on.
doesn't count.
Yeah, I know that's not a real restaurant. It's a set.
Yeah.
It's like Brutus the Barber Beefcake didn't actually have a barbershop.
I can't believe Brutus Barber Cake didn't have a barbershop, Tom.
Wasn't licensed to cut hair in any state that I know of. Um, So, all right. Also news, because I wouldn't say we get accused of this, but we're sensitive to the fact that we're not just WWE people, that we cover the waterfront of professional wrestling, and so this Friday, Ring of Honor has an All Star Extravaganza pay-per-view. In fact, it's All Star Extravaganza 8. It's coming to you live from Lowell, Massachusetts, which is not far from me, although I won't be going. Um, and you can get it on pay-per-view, the Fight app, all that kind of thing. I mean, the way you normally get pay-per-views, you probably stream it illegally too, but don't.
Yeah, don't.
Um, but so this has some New Japan guys,
It,
I believe, yes, and
it does. It
one,
does. It's got Tetsuya Naito
yep, and
and Takaaki Watanabe, who is just evil now.
that's right, and Dragon Lee, Kushida. Well, anyway, so just a real quick match card rundown. There's an internet exclusive triple threat, so I believe you have to get the pay per view to see this. Evil, the aforementioned Evil versus Will Ferrara versus Silas Young. I'm sure that'll be good.
Should be. Should be good.
Um, then there's and you can tell this is sort of inspired by New Japan because there's a lot of like tag matches.
Is there an
Um,
8-man tag?
there's a
Uh,
6-man tag tournament round one.
Four corner tag survival.
For shot at the ROH Tag Team Championship. That is Rhett Titus and Kenny
That's
King with Caprice
that's the All Night
Coleman.
Express.
The All Night Express versus Shane Taylor and Keith Lee versus Dalton Castle and Colt Cabana versus War Machine. Keith Lee, it's cool that he's on a Ring of Honor show, but like, what a fucking mess that's gonna be.
Yeah, a four-way tag match. That's like a Survivor Series match. No one's gonna
Yes.
no one's gonna have fun in that.
No, I mean, you know, I'm sure there'll be some cool spots in there, but it's mostly going to be a mess. That's my prediction. Um, I just I don't know, those giant tag matches. Sometimes they work, but a lot of times they don't work. Um, then we have a 6-man tag team tournament round one. That's Jay White and Kushida and ACH versus Toriano and the Briscoes.
That's the they. I'll mention that Toru Yano and the Briscoes were previously the 6-man tag champions in New Japan. They
That's
were
right.
the trios champions or whatever it's called. I don't remember what it's called in New Japan, but those they were the champions together. So that's probably why they're teaming up here.
And this will be good, but all those guys are good. But again, a 6-man tag. Eh, yeah, all right. At least it's better than an 8-man tag team survival thing.
Yeah, that's not going to be good.
Hangman Page versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, okay, that's kind of a it's kind of a standard reaction, I think.
Yeah, like I mean, it'll be all right. I got, won't be bad. Won't be I kind of feel about this the way I felt about like when I heard that Sheamus and Cesaro be wrestling a lot. It's like, all right, okay. Um, Kamaitachi versus Dragon Lee. That'll be really good. That'll be crazy. Uh, Naito versus Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal, ever since losing the championship, has kind of been in limbo in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna leave.
I wonder the same thing.
I don't know where. Is he gonna go back and be the Black Machismo? Like,
Yeah, would he go to WWE? Would they want him?
yeah, that's the thing.
Maybe.
Like, do they want him? Is there? Have you heard any talk about Jay Lethal going to WWE? I haven't.
I have not. Although, I mean, Roderick Strong apparently is on his way there. Um, I don't know.
Mr. Ring of Honor?
Yep, Mr. Ring of Honor, soon be Mr. NXT.
Jay Lethal could also be Mr. NXT Part 2.
Yeah, so this would be. I mean, again, like this is kind of my issue with Ring of Honor right now. Like, it'll be a good match, Naito versus Jay Lethal, but like, I don't. What's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, who cares? And I
Yeah,
think like, you know, Tetsuya Naito is gonna be awesome. He's always awesome.
yeah, oh yeah,
And, I think it'll be a good match, but is there a story?
right. This is like an exhibition. It's like an indie show where it's just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you saw these two guys wrestle? And like, yeah, it's going to be a good match, but like, I don't. Ultimately, I won't care about it once it's over because there's nothing's at stake. It's just these two guys having a match. Um, the World TV Championship, Donovan Dijak versus Bobby Fish. I really want Dijak to win. I'm a big Dijak guy. I don't think he's been given the space in Ring of Honor to show what he can do, all of what he can do. Having seen him a lot in the last 2 years, I'm just blown away by how good he is, and I kind of hope he gets the chance to shine in a big stage. Um, so I'm interested in that match. Uh, but I have no guess as to who will actually win. Probably Bobby Fish, I'm guessing.
Oh, I hope Dijak wins.
I hope so too. I mean, Ring of Honor. A lot of it, and we've talked about this before. The roster has felt kind of stale recently, and they have like guys with talent who are new and up and coming, and now's a good chance to put the spotlight on them.
I agree. And it's good. It would be good for Dijak if only because like, he's got a good look. He's a huge dude. He can wrestle.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
he's the kind of guy that I could see WWE taking interest in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like my friends and I go to wrestling shows together. We've said that like it feels like just a matter of time because he's huge. He's like 6'7", and he can really move really well, and he's good on the mic. And it just feels like he's the kind of guy, one of the rare indie guys that Vince would see and say like, "Yeah, I want that guy."
I imagine he has a bottle of lotion in his hand when he's saying that.
Yeah, the real tall guy. No more of these midgets. Yeah, like he looks like a WWE wrestler in a way that a lot of indie guys do not. I mean, they could also completely fuck it up, and we've we've joked about that he comes in and they give him a lumberjack gimmick or something like they just ruin him. But I can't imagine the WWE is not interested in the services of Mr. Donovan Dijak.
Yeah. So, Ring of Honor, to take note, Donovan Dijak, he should be some kind of champion.
Well, especially when there's all these guys who are making splashes in the WWE, like Cedric Alexander and Tommaso Ciampa, who are in Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor just didn't know what to do with.
Yeah, I mean it's true. They, I mean, I remember very little of what Cedric Alexander was doing in Ring of Honor. Like I remember he was briefly a heel, and like knocked.
Yep.
He had the thing where he was knocking people out with the metal bar.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my God.
That was
Yeah,
that was basically it.
they just didn't know what to do with those guys, and they kind of squandered them. And now, now you're seeing people, or at least the NXT and the cruiserweight thing, like WWE or Triple H or whoever does know what to do with these guys.
Yeah. So you know,
Don't make that mistake with Dijak.
yeah, you got someone good there. Use them.
Put the belt on Dijak. Bobby Fish doesn't need to be champion.
Yeah. Who wants Bobby Fish as the champion, really?
I mean, probably Bobby Fish, but
But
other than
yeah,
him,
are there huge Bobby Fish fans out there? Um, I always think it's weird when they give the champion like a championship to someone who's like part of an established tag team.
yeah, I agree.
Like, I understand that Kyle O'Reilly is wrestling also separately on the card, but like they're a tag team.
It is weird when yeah. I mean, like you don't often, once in a while, the Briscoes will wrestle as singles guys, but when Jay had the belt for a while, but that was also weird.
Yeah.
Um, we have the Ring of Honor World Championship, Michael Elgin versus Adam Cole.
I assume Adam Cole will win.
I assume Adam Cole will win. Um, I've come around ever since the G1 in 2015. I've been more of a Big Mike fan, and I love Adam Cole, but this feels very ho hum to me.
Yeah, I don't know how these two guys will mesh.
I don't either.
Doesn't seem like a good matchup.
Um, I mean, they're both good at what they do, so but like they're gonna have to sort of work in a different style and try different things to sort of make this an interesting match. I'm sure they can do it. I just like if you asked me for my dream matchup, I wouldn't be like, oh, Michael Elgin and Adam Cole for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I were gonna have a matchup, I'd like to see Michael Elgin in it. Would be like Michael Elgin versus Ryback, who
Yes,
I haven't
that is a
I
dream
haven't
match.
mentioned. We didn't mention this in the news, but apparently Ryback's name change totally went through.
That's right. He is now
He's
Ryback,
now Ryback Allen Reeves.
legally Ryback. So good for him.
Good for you, sir.
He can now be billed as Ryback on indie shows, and Vince McMahon can't do a damn thing about it. Um, Also, he now has to be known as Ryback for the rest of his life.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, let's be honest, Tom. He was going to be known as Ryback for the rest of his life anyway.
That's true.
But now he doesn't have to be the Ryborg in the Impact Zone.
No, he doesn't. He does not.
Speaking of Impact Zone,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're forgetting the main event, Ring of
oh, Ring
Honor.
of Honor main event. Oh,
It's another. It's a.
it's
It's
another
a
like
three-way.
80-man tag team.
Yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Young Bucks versus the Addiction. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is we talk about New Japan booking being stale. We talk about Ring of Honor booking being stale. Like, I would definitely be more interested in going to pay to see this thing and driving to Lowell if it was sort of a different card. I mean, like it feels like they're treading water.
Yeah.
And again, the match. I'm sure this three-way tag match. It's a ladder match. I'm sure it'll be good. Young Bucks, Addiction, Motor City Machine Guns. All those guys are good. But like, who cares?
Yeah,
We've seen this a million
yeah,
times.
that's absolutely true. We've seen this a million times, but also, you know, who cares? That's that's really it. Just like, that's what I feel about. I've said it a bunch of times, but like, Ring of Honor just has the same, you know, bunch of people doing the same kind of matches over and over again. And like, there's some different matches in here, like Donovan Dijak versus Bobby Fish. I've never seen that before.
Right.
And that's something that more they should be doing instead of like, oh, more Young Bucks versus the Addiction.
I know. Oh my God, how often have we seen that? And it pains me to say that because I like Ring of Honor and I like all those guys, but they're just like Delirious, who's the booker. It's just like he's run out of ideas. I mean, this is just the same stuff over and over. And after a while, you see the same spots. They don't seem that exciting anymore. And like, it's hard to care about some rivalry that doesn't seem like it has much juice in it because these guys have been fighting each other for the last 2 years. Um, but just worse ways to spend your Friday night than to spend some money on the old Ring of Honor. I guess. However, you mentioned the Impact Zone.
This news is not about the Ryborg in the Impact Zone, though.
It is not. Oh, if only it were. So, like 2 weeks after we decided, we're gonna put the TNA the Doomsday Clock on ice. Like we not only have to get it out of storage, but we have to like move it to 11:58.
Yeah, Jesus. Um,
Uh, so this was reported. Everyone's friend Dave Meltzer, who is in a position to know. Dave Meltzer reports in the Wrestling Observer that WWE is now really interested in buying TNA. However, they would just buy the tape library and basically shut it down. But the more present problem is that TNA right now does not have enough money for Bound for Glory or the subsequent TV tapings. And Bound for Glory is this weekend.
yeah, that's Oh man. So I guess the TNA Death Watch actually is at 11:58 again.
Yes.
Um, so they're saying that like, they don't have the money to pay for the pay-per-view, and like Billy Corgan is still weeks away from getting the funding to pay for the purchase of TNA, and that leaves them in the position of like, what the fuck do we do? So they're saying like, I guess there's not like a set thing where like Dixie Carter has made a deal that she's definitely selling to um, Billy Corgan, so she can basically sell anything she wants to anybody she wants. And when you're like out of the money to do your pay per view, basically, it's possible that the Bound for Glory will happen and it will be the last TNA thing we ever see.
It is possible.
Um, I don't know what. Oh, I mean, I don't know what they would do with their TV deals though.
No, so this is an interesting question. In the past, when TNA has been on death's door, it's been because they've lost television. This time around, it's because of money, because Panda Energy, which was owned by Dixie's father and is still majority owner, Panda Energy has stopped underwriting TNA. And they stopped a couple months ago. And that was where TNA was, that was how TNA stayed on life support, because Panda Energy would just pay for everything. So now they don't have that money. They have the TV deals, but they don't have that cash flow. So it's a much more urgent problem. Because if you have money coming in but you don't have TV, you can take time to find a TV deal. But if you have TV but you don't have money, you're fucked because
Yeah.
you have to pay people.
And the article also says that, well, Dave Meltzer has said that like TNA is billions of dollars in debt, and the debt amount is more than what the company would sell for. So, I don't know what they're gonna do. Um, it's basically, yeah, man. I guess we'll know this weekend.
I, betting against TNA feels like a mistake, just because they've been like we've been doing this podcast for like a year and a half, and I feel like this is the third or fourth time we've had to do what if TNA just shuts down. because it just happens so often, and they have the tenacity of a cockroach. But this might be it. I mean, really, honestly, if you run out of money, then and then there's an offer on the table, which would be pennies on the dollar from WWE. But $4 million or $3 million is better than no dollars. So I could definitely see the owners at this point, Dixie Carter and whoever else, saying yes. And that would be interesting because speculation right now is WWE just wants a tape library, but they would also probably be interested in a few of the
I'd
wrestlers.
assume Broken Matt Hardy.
Yes, and that's one of the real problem, the real tragedies about this, if in fact TNA is going out of business, is that like they're just getting good.
Yeah, I know. It's like finally, after all this time, you can finally say, without any irony, that TNA is awesome. Like, there's actually
Yeah,
good things going on in TNA right now, and it's totally watchable, and and you can say that without being like it's watchable because Joker's thing is there. Like in that
right.
kind of watchable where it's like what the hell is going to happen? Kind of train wreck kind of watchable. But
Yeah,
in this
it,
time, it's actually like it's good watchable. There's like actually a good roster that they have, consistently pretty good matches. There's actually an interesting story and something kind of new going on with the broken Matt Hardy thing.
yep.
Um, you know, I honestly, right now would be the worst time for DNA to go out of business. Um, but in all honesty, it makes sense for TNA to go out of business when they're at their when they've finally gotten good
Oh
because
yeah,
like they managed to avoid death for like a decade while they sucked.
yeah. That is the most TNA ending to the TNA story, where for almost 14 years the show is terrible. It was Jeff Jarrett coming out and pretending to be an MMA fighter and having these like convoluted King of the Mountain matches and a masturbating midget in a garbage can, like every awful TNA thing you can think, and Vince Russo behind so much of it, that it's so fitting that when they finally get good and they finally become a good wrestling show. And Billy Corgan, he did an interview with ESPN this week where he talked about his ideas, and they're all good ideas. Like one of his ideas was, I want to change the name of TNA, which you and I said like 2 weeks ago. Whoever buys this from Dixie has to change the name. Um, when they finally get someone who knows what he's doing, and they finally like start putting together good wrestling shows, of course they go out of business. I mean, it's the only way the story could end.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's like why normally we would just be like, well, TNA's probably not going to go out of business, but in this case, because of the situation and because of
Right.
how fitting it would be for TNA, it seems like a little scary that they actually might go out of business, which that would be bad.
Yeah, I remember the last time this happened when they lost before Pop. They were on God, what was even the name of that? Destination
Destination
America.
America, yeah.
When they lost Destination America and it looked like they were going to go under, I was like struggling. I was like, what will I miss from TNA? And I was like, oh, I'll just miss Gail Kim. But now there's like a ton of stuff I'll miss. Like I like look for I really want to know what happens with Broken Matt Hardy and the whole ridiculous storyline there. Um, and we may never know.
We'll have to get scripts that have been written that'll be
Yeah,
leaked later on to the internet.
because I think you're right. I think WWE would be interested in bringing the Hardys back, but I think they would fuck up the broken thing
Oh
completely.
yeah.
Like I just don't think they would get it.
Oh yeah, that would get ruined. Um,
I mean, see what they've done with Bray Wyatt, the WWE equivalent of Broken Matt Hardy. Like they have no idea what to do with him.
I tell you, there'd be a Bray Wyatt versus Broken Matt Hardy feud that Matt Hardy would lose.
Yes, finally Bray Wyatt would win a major match, and only because like Vince is such a weirdo about that stuff.
Yeah.
Finally, Bray Wyatt would win a pay. All right, we had a little technical difficulty, and but I think we're back. I think we have it. Um,
If weird stuff starts happening with the audio, you know why? Because the recorder we were using suddenly stopped working, and I've downloaded a new one, and it's totally different. And maybe it's okay though. So I guess we'll get back to what we were talking about, which was something involving TNA.
we were talking about the end of TNA, and I think we had sort of I mean, got to the point where we kind of agreed, and I wanted to talk about Bound for Glory because it may not happen. It may be the last ever TNA event, or it may just be like a normal TNA thing where they somehow manage to keep going.
It'll be another Bound for Glory.
Another Bound for Glory. So there's some sort of convoluted storylines coming to this, but the matches, they haven't all been set. The full card will be set this Thursday, I guess. But right now there's 7 matches on the card. There's a singles match for the X Division Championship. DJZ will be wrestling someone who is yet to be determined. And then there's a 10-man Bound for Gold gauntlet match.
Oh, that's going to be good.
The winner can choose any championship match of their choice. So 10 people right now, Tyrus, Robbie E., Baron Dax, Jesse Goddard, Grado, and Rockstar Spud, and four players to be named later. That's going to be a shit show, even though those guys are pretty good for the most part. Well, maybe not Tyrus, but or Jesse Goddard. Now that I think about. Okay, so Grado and Rockstar Spud are good, and Robbie E is good. It's like a 10-man match.
Yeah, those are never good. That's not on TNA. That's just on 10-man matches never being good.
No, it's just it's booking that as a nightmare. It's just a constant shit show. But it's a gauntlet match, so that should help, I guess. Like one guy, I presume, if they do it like Ring of Honor does gauntlet matches, one guy will start in the ring, and then another guy will come in, and then somebody will get the pinfall or a submission, and then another guy will come in, and so forth and so on. But I mean, they just take forever, and like it's never really worth it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So yeah, that'll be all right, but it'll be all right in the sense that it's wrestling and not something else.
And that is a real throwback to like kind of the TNA like overbooked, like weird stipulation nightmare matches.
Yeah, hopefully those start to go away.
Singles match for the Knockouts Championship: Maria Kanellis versus Gail Kim. This will be interesting. I'm guessing there'll be like a lot of like shenanigans and interference. Maria is not exactly a wrestler per se, and that's actually been part of the storyline leading up to this. That she's just like this like cowardly person who gets other people to do her fighting for her, and like this is finally Gail Kim's chance to get her hands on Maria. So that's a pretty good blow off to a feud. Although I feel like the Knockouts Championship has changed hands like 10 times this year. It just keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, there's no credibility to the TNA Knockouts Championship.
No, there's not. And makes sense to have Gail win this, but unless there's some kind of shenanigan finish where Maria gets Allie or Sienna or one of those other people who's a really good indie wrestler with 2 names, but who in TNA only has 1 name. Jade.
Yeah, Jade.
Then we've got Moose versus Mike Bennett in kind of a Ring of Honor alumni match.
I was gonna say that's a very Ring of Honor match.
I like both those guys. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm okay with that match.
Then we have Aaron Rex, known to you and me a few years ago as Damian Sandow, versus Drew Galloway, 2 former WWE guys. This is for the inaugural Impact Grand Championship, which in no way should be considered a total ripoff of the Universal Championship.
Whatever. It's not. It's the Grand Championship.
It's Grand Championship. I again, like, we've been complimenting TNA and they have been much better, but there's still bugs to be worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to go from 0 to 60 in 0 seconds. It's
no.
But it's getting up there. It's going better.
I don't like. I never thought to myself, man, what TNA needs is another belt.
Well, they got rid of the other belt, so
the King of the Mountain belt or whatever the hell it's called. It's awful.
King of the Mountain title. That's gone.
So I don't know. I guess Mike Bennett probably wins that one, or I'm sorry. I guess Galloway probably wins the grand championship. But you never know. Could be Damian Sandow.
They'll give Sandow, throw him a bone.
Um, then we have a Falls Count Anywhere, no holds barred massacre for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. This is Decay, Abyss, and Crazy Steve. I refuse to pronounce it Crazy Steve because that's not how he spells it.
That's not how he spells it. I always call it, when I read it as Crazy Steve too. I can't help but not, because that's how it's spelled.
Abyss and Crazy Steve versus Rosemary against Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero and Rebby Sky. That would be a lot of fun. This is sort of the blow off to the kind of the crazy sequel to the Final Deletion.
Not Final Deletion, the Delete or Decay.
Yes. One thing I do want to say though is I'll be really upset if TNA ends before we get a resolution where Brother Nero reclaims his Jeff Hardy status and finally vanquishes Matt Hardy. I mean, that's where that angle should end. But it'll just be weird if it just kind of hangs in midair like this, and they'll be trapped in those characters on the indies forever.
It has to end as a redemption story for Broken Matt Hardy.
Well, right. They have to somehow get out of these characters, even though these characters are great. Yeah, so that'll be fun. That'll be a fun blow off to a fun weird angle. I just hope they they pull out all the stops for it, because it feels like especially with the Matt Hardy stuff, like just a wrestling match is not enough. There has to be some weird additional, it's got to take place in a farmhouse or something, or aboard a ship or whatever. I mean, there has to be something. It can't just be a wrestling match. They have to top themselves every time, which is a dangerous position to be in. But so far, they've managed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. I'd say it has to at least be good every time. So far, it's been good every time.
So far, it's been good every time. And then the main event is Lashley versus EC3 for the World Heavyweight Championship, which should be fine. Somebody on Twitter today was talking about what if WWE buys TNA and they'll bring in some ex-TNA people. And someone said, what if they bring in Lashley and under the gimmick, the Trump card? Because remember, he was Donald Trump's guy when Donald Trump was doing his angle.
That would be awesome.
It'd be amazing.
I would be I'd be really excited about that. But if they did bring in Lashley, they'd probably just team him up with Jack Swagger. As the team up with Jack Swagger, and they would be like the Varsity Club 2 or something, and they would wear wrestling gear. They'd bring back Shelton Benjamin.
This is all frighteningly plausible.
Oh, please don't let it happen.
If you're gonna bring Lashley back, he's got to have a Trump gimmick.
Oh, that would be great, though.
It would be great.
I'd be excited for that only. But if the WWE did buy TNA, who do you think they would keep? I assume Aaron Rex would be gone.
Yeah. And EC3 and Galloway both had WWE stints, but they've done a lot of stuff in Evolve, and WWE is working with Evolve, so who knows? I mean, I assume first and foremost they'd want the Hardys. I could see Gail Kim's just going to retire. She says she's never going to work for Vince again. She's also 39 years old and is married to a super rich dude. She doesn't need it. I could see them wanting Mike Bennett.
Oh yeah, I could see. I guess Moose also.
Yeah, Moose. I mean, supposedly Moose was on his way to signing a contract, but then some old arrest surfaced and they got cold feet. But maybe enough time has passed that they're not worried about any blowback or anything. Because Moose would be perfect, I think. Although,
I mean, if you have felony arrest, you're not going to be able to do WWE travels. You're not going to be able to go to Canada.
That's right. Yeah, and I don't know if it was squashed or what happened with his conviction or his arrest or whatever, but I could see, I don't know, maybe it's hard to say with any of the women like I think some of the women would do really well there. Cherry Bomb, aka Allie, I think would be great in NXT. Obviously, I think Jade, aka Mia Yim, would do really well. But I don't know if they, I don't know what they're looking for in terms of women. Like their decision with some of the women they've hired is sort of baffling to me, and some of the women they've pushed, i.e. Carmella, just kind of doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. What about you? Who do you think they'd be giving a good hard look at in TNA?
I guess probably. I mean, all the people you said are probably up there, but definitely the Hardys would be back. Um, I could see them bringing back Lashley just because, like, they could like at least have him fight Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and I think
Kind of,
I think Vince
they could
loves
pump up
huge
that whole,
dudes.
yeah, they could pump up that whole like, oh, these guys are real UFC guys, or MMA guys, because Lashley has like a bunch of MMA wins, and so does Lesnar. So they would actually be like a kind of a credible opponent for Lesnar. Um, I don't know what they would do with like EC3 or Drew Galloway though.
No,
So I mean, I can't. I'd hope they bring in the Wolves.
I'd love to see the Wolves in WWE, and that's possible. I don't think it's a sure thing, but I think it's possible. Like some of the people they brought in NXT, like I could definitely see them being interested in the Wolves.
Yeah, bring the Wolves in, like, and you can, imagine them versus American Alpha.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible. Or the Revival.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that. Bring them right up to SmackDown. I'd be all about that.
And in terms of like, if you're looking to flesh out the cruiserweights, obviously Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett would be good additions. But I mean, I don't know that they'd be all that excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess that would be all right though.
They,
Poor Rockstar Spud though, he wouldn't be taken.
yeah, him and Grado would not, make the jump. I don't think. Um, Raquel, aka Gabby Castrovinci, I think it'd be great to bring her on as like an Eva Marie who can actually wrestle, but I don't know if that would happen.
Oh, yeah, I don't think a lot of the TNA dudes would fare very well in that.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of handpicked. I don't think I mean, especially because outside of Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground, they sort of have their pick of the indies too. So, I mean, the question is like, is there somebody in TNA who's doing something that you can't find in the indies? There's a couple, obviously the Hardys, and I would argue the Wolves in terms of like a hard-hitting tag team. Um, and Lashley is still sort of well known, but after that, it's a lot of people who, you could find like an equivalent indie star.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of hope if TNA goes out of business, and that's too bad.
Yeah, I'd be super bummed out if TNA went out of business. Not just because they've been good lately, but also because it's a place for people to work and it's more wrestling on TV. All right, we were going to talk about the Von Erichs. Why don't we put that off to next week? Because that's a long discussion. I feel like we've gone long.
Yeah, we have. Well, maybe not long. Maybe it seems longer to us because we've been on longer trying to figure out the recording
That's right.
issues. But
That's right.
it has been a little bit. It has been a little bit long for us.
So we'll just wrap up as we always do. I don't have any wrestling coming up this weekend. Ring of Honor is in Lowell, but I'm probably not gonna go. I might go to the TV taping on Saturday. I haven't made up my mind. Maybe. What about you? Anything coming up?
No, there was wrestling by my house the other day,
Oh, that's right.
but I saw it from the outside. I didn't go in. I just walked by and I was like, oh yeah, there's some wrestlers.
um, yeah, that was that tiny promotion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, if you like what you hear, you can find us many ways. Closetofanxiety.tumblr.com. Lots of fresh wrestling content there. Some animated GIFs, articles in the mainstream. I posted a local TV commercial from here in Connecticut featuring The Big Show and Titus O'Neil. It's pretty entertaining. I mean, unintentionally so. Uh, Also, hockeyjoe.tumblr.com. You can head on over to the old Twitter machine and find us at TJ Breen or at XCornMuffinX. And if you like what you hear, go ahead, leave a comment.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. That's all we got. So I guess we will see you guys next week.
Sounds good. See you, everybody.